These are the 5 things I'd tell myself if I were to start investing in real estate again today. Hey there, my name is Brennan Klaus. I am a real estate agent in Seattle, Washington, but I also own 7 properties at the age of 34. So I thought back to what would I tell myself if I started over again at 22? And these are the 5 things that I came up with. First and foremost, I would tell myself to invest as soon as possible in something that will appreciate. So just like the stock market, real estate appreciates over time. And my belief is that the sooner you can get into real estate, the better, because that is going to appreciate over time. I think about real estate basically like I think about the stock market, but also I think about it as my retirement for the future, because a lot of the properties that I own are rentals, and so I rent them out. And I think that the best thing that I did was I invested in real estate as soon as I could. I was 24 when I made my first investment, and that investment in Seattle has grown and appreciated quite a lot because Seattle is an appreciating market. But that really did me the best that I could have done with that money, in my opinion. I started with basically $10,000, and now the equity that I have in that property is probably worth over $200,000. And that was 2015 to today, so about 10 years. So the appreciation on that was amazing. It was a very modest purchase for Seattle, that is, at $300,000, and now it's probably worth $450,000 to $500,000. And so that is a really good example of going back. I would tell myself, make sure you invest as soon as possible in the real estate market and hold on to whatever you invest in for as long as you can. Number 2, I would tell myself it's okay to put only 3.5% down. I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about putting down a minimum amount of money, when in reality, putting down as little money as possible can help you diversify that money, but you also need to have a plan. So it's really important that if you are putting 3.5% down, you're aware of private mortgage insurance, which is insurance on the difference between your down payment and having 20% equity in the home. So if you put 20% down instead of less than that, you wouldn't have private mortgage insurance or PMI, but if you put less than 20% down, you'll have PMI. And so it's important to have a plan whether the home appreciates so that your share of the home is about 20% or more, and you can drop the PMI off. Or if you have a plan to refinance out of a lower down payment, maybe if you come into some money later or something like that, that can be a good way to go forward. And it allows you, like I said, to not only get into real estate as soon as possible, but also if you have extra money beyond that 3.5%, you could diversify and buy something else instead of having all of your money, your entire down payment, in just real estate alone. The third thing I'd tell myself as a 22-year-old is definitely learn how to do everything yourself before you hire out. And by everything, I mean literally everything. I would say make sure you understand how to be a property manager before you hire one, how to screen tenants, rent out your place, how to make sure things are taken care of. I would say as much as you can, try to know as much about construction as possible. So there's this big fear that as a landlord, you always have to fix toilets, but truly fixing a toilet is not that difficult. If you look at YouTube and you learn a little bit, take a little bit of time to understand some of the skill that goes into that. I recently just retiled a backsplash, and that was the first time I've ever done that, but it's a really good learning experience, and it also helps you understand what you're paying for when you pay a person to do something like this. So I would definitely make sure you understand the value of that and understand exactly what you're paying for by doing it yourself, if you have the time and the ability, before you actually hire someone out, because you'll learn a lot, you'll appreciate what you're paying for, and ultimately you'll know if you're actually paying the right price, in my opinion, for the work that's being done. The fourth thing I'd tell myself as a 22-year-old is to think about your real estate portfolio as your future retirement and as something that will eventually pay you back. There's a lot of conflicting opinions about this, I think, in the world in general, but this is a specific strategy that I've decided to take for myself, and that's to invest in as many properties as I can, pay them all off eventually, and then use the rental income as my retirement account. As we know, the national debt continues to go up, taxes will probably continue to increase, and who knows what's going to happen to Social Security. And so this was a strategy that I change my mindset around before I started investing by listening to a bunch of real estate investing podcasts and hearing how other people were doing this. And I think that there's a lot of conflicting opinions about this because some people don't believe that this is a good idea. There are definitely hiccups along the way. It takes a little different level of work, I would say, than maybe just putting your money into the stock market and letting it grow that way. So there are some differences, but I think it can be really rewarding. And I do think that it is a beneficial path if you have access to be able to invest in real estate, and you can do that. And so I would highly recommend thinking of real estate as your retirement account if you're able to purchase and hold on to those assets. Last but not least is something that I think that I really kind of ignored up until probably my 30s, and that was to think about the cost of ongoing maintenance in each property and to factor that into your purchase price and your budget for purchasing before you actually make the purchase. So there were a couple of properties that I invested in because I had the down payment saved, and I didn't really run the numbers enough to understand what the ongoing costs would be on a monthly basis for things like operating expenses, like replacing a window or a door, or if the pool heater goes out, or even like the landscaping monthly. Those are some things that are really important to the upkeep of your property and making sure that everything is working over time. And so that was definitely something I neglected as a younger person. And I thought, oh, I have the down payment saved, so I will just like go ahead and purchase this property without actually running through or familiarizing myself with the numbers before going into it. And so I think that's a really important part of investing in real estate before you get started, is making sure you know these costs and know what your monthly budget is going to be for all of these. So there you have it. Those are my 5 things that I would tell myself as a 22-year-old, now as a 34-year-old who owns 7 properties and is investing in real estate for my future. Let me know in the comments what's something that you would go back and tell your 22-year-old self if you were reinvesting again today, but as a younger person. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this information helpful, I'd love if you hit the like button. And then if you want to see future updates like this, be sure to hit subscribe. I'd love to have you follow along on this journey with me.